Hey, my gosh, here we are. It's 11. I'm on time. Woo! All right. Ah, spaz. Uh, I was putting on my things and getting here, and there's always some little last minute thing, isn't there? So, hey, it's Ariel Anderson, and here I am live as promised. Now, today it's at 11 because I had a pitch panel thing going on today, but from now on, I'm going to be showing up every week on Friday at 10 o'clock because I can do that now. My child is in school. So I have a couple of hours, which is awesome. But I wanted to show up for you today to answer any questions that you have. And according to how many people show up, I will stay longer or shorter. Meanwhile, I'm just going to have a little bit of a chat here with you and touch on the topic of this week. I don't know if you were, I'm just looking at my notes because I get nervous. I am quite an introvert and I find my energy to do these lovely calls for you. And yes, I should be, I don't like the word should, but I normally am a little bit more organized. But this week, sleep has been a challenge. And I think part of it is that my mind is whirling. There's a lot of things, discontent and energy and ideas and challenges in the world. And at the same time, I want to focus on what matters, which is you, my family, my own heart and soul path. And you're all intertwined. You are intertwined. I mean, my I stepped back, and as you know, I stepped back and I haven't been doing any videos. That's going to change this month. I'm going to put up videos for you again. I needed to step back to be with my family. I needed to step back, and I probably could have communicated that, but I was in denial. I was in denial. Next week, I'm going to put up a video, and I'm going to show up, and then I kept feeling these blocks, or there were things going on. We're still in transition. We still have boxes. It was when I moved, and it was all this energy to creating home again that I realized that I could finally have silence. And it's one of those things that I encourage for you. You know that from being on Instagram at Ariel Green Anderson, SSON, and here I am with you. So I see that somebody is out there. You're welcome to ask any question you want about anything. It can be about midlife pregnancy, midlife health, what tea I'm about to drink. I don't know. But well, that was weird. On the podcast this week, I talked about defocusing. And that's my topic, is really about defocusing and that need to jump off the cliff, even when you aren't sure, even if you're not sure if you believe. And that's a tricky one. You know, I had that video and I still very much honor the energy of that. It just depends on what stage you're in. So, my experience of birthing something, whether we're talking about birthing a business or birthing a child, older, the thing about this period of time, if you are over 40, 35, 50, is that there's often a crossroads happening. And so what happens is it's not like what's happening in the world right now. There's so many things happening at the same time. That crossroads of you launching into your own path and where you want to be putting your energy, what you want to be birthing and putting your energy to, and at the same time birthing a child and wanting to also have a good relationship and good relationships in your circle, support. There's so many things needed right at that moment. And so there tends to be a jumbling of messages and clarity. Try and center myself here a little bit for you. And so that muddles things. And you may already know this, but a muddled message doesn't get through clearly. It's like if you take a blurry picture and you're like, what exactly is that? What is that? And if you sent that to somebody, they wouldn't even have a clue at all. You might be like, oh, that's that day we went to the beach. I thought that was a better picture. Somebody else and the universe or whatever God, goddess, whatever it is you believe in, won't be able to know what that is. And so sometimes the tricky thing is if you have a lot going on, or your heart has been broken, or there's been a breakdown of trust in your body because of losses, or not even getting pregnant at all. No matter what we can say out in the world and on social media, the truth is that there's a lot that's happening inside the heart and the body, and that disconnect really affects. And the over focusing on trying, forget trying. Don't try to get pregnant. Don't don't try. There's trying or doing. So we want to do. You want to do, right? So it's that defocusing or unfocusing. I chose defocusing because it's not really a word. And unfocused sounds like somebody who's all scattered, and that's not what it is. It's just it's it's maybe refocusing to something else, and it's that creative piece. And that's what I work with people on. That's what I'm working with you on today is taking the energy that's also calling. It's also calling to be heard, and instead of putting all this pressure and energy into getting pregnant, that's running in the background. Like if you have your computer on, it's running in the background. I hope you guys can hear me because my I think my mic's plugged in. Um, it's running in the background. Like we have a program running in the background, and uh, it's it's something you're aware of. You pay attention to what you're eating. You are not putting you're clearing toxins from your world, and a number of other things. If you've gotten my 7 steps, that's kind of the starting place. 7 steps to midlife pregnancy, which you can get down below in the links. So hey, Britt. Okay, hey, I'm 46 and I'm 15 weeks long. Oh, that's fantastic. It's been okay. Hi, I'm 46 and I'm 15 weeks along. It's been so many years since my last pregnancy. My last child is 21 now. I really appreciate your videos and channel for inspiration. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for that. And 15 weeks, fantastic. You're past the marker. Do you feel relaxed? Has this been a good pregnancy? I'd be curious. Um, yeah, I know about the gaps. My husband has a child 25, 16, and 5. So yeah, the gaps, it's a big difference, and the pregnancies can be different. And where you are right now, I mean, that's a big difference. 46 is a big difference to, 21 years ago or 22 years ago when you got pregnant. I can imagine it's a different path. How is that for you? I'd be curious if you want to share. Um, I know that I have I have a client who has older kids, and I'm curious how the story is there. There are challenges sometimes with, why are you having another child, even if it's the same partner or a new one, and even the most supportive kids, there can be a little rumbling underneath there of what does that mean for our relationship? I mean, I think that one thing when when you make a shift or a change in your life, in the dynamic of your world, whoever is inside of that feels it. And even if their heart's in the right place, there are times when it can be challenging and little things will bubble up because your attention will focus elsewhere. So I'm really excited for you. And 15 weeks is a beautiful time because soon you'll know, if you don't already know, on an intuitive psychic level, what the sexes of your child. You can find out. We didn't find out, but we already knew at when was that? It was a few months in. We already knew, even though we asked not to know. Or like both of us woke up the same morning and said, "It's a girl." It was crazy. So maybe or you will know soon, one way or another. It doesn't really matter as long as they're healthy, right? Healthy and happy. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate that. And so I would, just it's great. First of all, I'm thankful to have Britt here also as a reminder because what you need is that reminder of what's possible, right? It's, oh, look, there's a real person, not just me, not just my clients, but a real person, another person who is that beacon, that light to remind you of the direction that you're going. 46 and 15 weeks pregnant, right? Past that first semester, what would be considered older by some cultures, and I am visioning a vibrant and beautiful pregnancy for you, Britt. And if you are not out there, if you're watching this later and you're not yet pregnant, remember it's possible. Like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of my existence. I lived 22 years back and forth in a country that I love with my whole heart, people too, in Czech Republic, and the motto was, it's not possible. And I realized the other day why I was there was to remember uh, more strongly my path, which is to remind you that it is possible. It is possible to be a mom at any age. It is possible to be a mom again. It is possible to be healthy and happy. It is possible to be on your path and simultaneously. And I'm working on it myself. Believe me, it's not perfect. So Okay, Britt, I've been having a lot of issues with heartburn. Any suggestions? It's been good so far. I'm pretty healthy, other than being a bit overweight to begin with. Thank you. Well, okay. First of all, there's a lot of people right now who are a little bit overweight, these days, and emotions and life, and requires some cushion, some buffer. So it's okay. We all have a bit. I'm definitely softer, than before, and that's okay. So I just want to put that out there. Then that's not the reason for all these things. All the for different things to go wrong. That's the be aware of. And I don't think that's necessarily the reason for heartburn. I'm wondering about your diet and the things that because when you're pregnant, there's some things that you may love, but you just can't have anymore. Also, I noticed that some citrus things, even though I love them, they can have some issues. Some of the richer foods, definitely. Well, you're past the first trimester. That's when I definitely felt it. Uh, but some foods they can't be on the list anymore, and so there might be some things you need to let go of there. Maybe you've already tried that. If you hadn't, just start one at a time in process of elimination and see if that makes a difference. Uh, Making sure that you are drinking enough water. I mean, hopefully you're doing that, because that helps with just the building of that body in there, and the blood. The whole thing with blood changes a lot inside of your body and their little body, and so, yeah, just really working on your water content will make a big difference. And when you're drinking it, and also be careful about, putting lime and lemon. I love lime and lemon because it helps balance out the liver stuff. However, sometimes that doesn't always work during pregnancy. I had my tubes tied after 21-year-old had a reversal done 3 years ago. So miracles get. Oh, what a miracle. That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that was successful. My gosh. This is what I say all the time. Miracles are possible. I'm so happy to hear that. Wow. Was it harder for you did you just get pregnant naturally after that? I'd be curious to know. Or if you decided to do IVF or something else. I'm curious. The stats actually show that when you're over 45, even over 40 something, that though IVF is often recommended right away, hormones are recommended right away, the stats are actually pretty high for doing it naturally. And it's definitely more fun and less stressful. So, just putting that out there, because it's an important stat to be aware of. But that's fantastic. Oh my gosh, I just love that. I love that because uh, there's so many limiting beliefs around what's possible. And what I am so thankful for in these lives in the clients that pop up and the stories that they have to tell that I get to echo out to you, keeping their privacy and anonymity. It's just, I feel like I want to do maybe I'll start to actually I just thought of that. Maybe I want to add that to my podcast repertoire, is that on that first Wednesday when I'm doing the podcast just for you for midlife health and pregnancy, maybe I'll start collecting the stories of miracles and possibilities, because I realize that that's one of the key things, is that reminder of the different ways in which it is possible. Because I hear all the time, "Oh, I'd love to work with you," or "I'd love to, get pregnant," but the thing is, I'm too old, and then I find out they're 33. But for example, in Czech Republic, that is old. Excuse me, because I have many friends that are older than that want to get pregnant still, and I do believe that they can. Uh, but in different countries, old is different, right? This is one of the things I say a lot, and it's true. And you have somebody else who will say, "Oh, I've had a lot of losses." I had 5 losses, before Ella was born. And I was, in fact, I mean, if you've seen the videos, you know this, but I was told that Ella was not a viable pregnancy. And if I had listened, then I would have had a procedure and I would not have my daughter today. It was only my deep sureness in what logically and scientifically was not what I was being told, and my partner, who also said, "Nope, I know that there is a baby in there," that we kept going forward. And so, here, Brit, tubes tied. "Oh, we'd like to have a family, but," you know, and you reverse that, and probably I have no doubt that it was your sureness, that clear photo, that clear picture of things, that allowed it to really, your body to heal and open back up to receive in a way, because you believed it or you needed it or you were sure about it. I have no doubt in my mind. And uh, even if there was that part of like, is it going to work? I know that your heart and your body speak very clearly to one another. And it's a feeling I gotta maybe. And and yet this week we talked about, or I talked about on the podcast, that sometimes you're not clear. And I think that you can get very muddled up. I definitely did get muddled up in the predict and control, that needing to know the steps and figure it out. How many times do we say, "I'm going to figure this out, and what do I need to do, and I need to know all the steps." And we talk about law of attraction, right? How you did get pregnant naturally after that. Yeah, it can take time. And a lot of that is the emotions and the stories on the inside too, which end up making things longer. That's what I discovered too. But I definitely, that's so cool. I got distracted, but I get distracted and inspired. So that's really beautiful. I have no idea what I was just saying. My brain just shifted to joy, because yeah, it's all that the trying thing is it's so tricky. And a lot of that is it's the stuff under the surface, the hard stuff, that is about, sort of that releasing and surrendering. And oh my gosh, I can say that every single client I have had, there has been some stuff under the surface that we just needed to dive into. And a lot of it is about permission, giving yourself permission to go down this path, even after, going through a surgery like that. There's a lot underneath there, and the stories that may come in, and the stats, and there's also that piece of, it's really hard to get pregnant when you're older, and that gets in, and that affects things, and it's that something shifts at one point, and then you get pregnant. So yeah, I think I know that the real reason I got on YouTube was because I heard so many women suffering, and I heard you suffering, and I felt like I don't want it to take as long. If I can help you to make something shorter, or make the pregnancy feel more relaxed, then I'm successful in my mission. And my whole mission is about it's possible for women for living vitally, because I know that when you're doing this, you have this pregnancy or you've created what you're meant to create, that you're going to have a vital and beautiful life. And especially if you're having a child later, that's important and essential. And oh my goodness, I think about how you can open that. And one of the things that is important to answer for yourself is if you have really given yourself permission to be pregnant now. The stories that come in are often uh, you're going to have problems because you're older. You will have a harder time to get pregnant because you're older. Uh, you may or may not have the support system because people around you already, their kids are, and your other kids, if you have them, are already in high school or in college. They're at a different place. I have that for sure. Most of my friends' kids will be possibly babysitting my daughter, or they're off to college. And that support is really important. Even if you have your partner support, really having a circle around you is essential. And there are a number of other things, but that permission piece of kind of all the doubt and the pieces that are coming in is, it's like breathing fully again. And sometimes it's those little stories in the background that are, we talked about how, how important it is to focus on, what brings you joy and creating. And maybe it's your business, maybe it's your art, whatever it is that you're meant to be creating. If you haven't gotten pregnant, how important that sort of defocusing and refocusing is, and things running in the background. Well, for example, even with my computer right now, it's making a sound because there's too much running in the background. And it then makes it harder for me to focus and relax. I'm thinking, what is that noise? That is exactly how it is in pregnancy as well. On your path to pregnancy is that feeling of um, too much running in the background. And when you're pregnant, that is still a key piece, because to keep the pregnancy healthy, you have to just keep following your call, your path that may not be exactly the same as anyone else. Well, it won't be, because you are you and you are unique. And so even all the ideas that I give and the support that I will be out here. I'm out here for sure in different ways. It's it comes down to you and what you need and how you need it. And please don't ever forget that in your pregnancy. If there is a test that's coming up now, Britta. Sorry, I want to call you Britta. Brit, I have a new friend called Britta. Brit, I want to encourage you that in your path, as you're going to your appointments, remember that the average doctor, unless you're lucky enough to have somebody who's integrated, who is very non-typical in their thinking, the average doctor will treat you as a problem because you're older. It's just a fact. It's what they're trained. It's nothing against them. It's just how it is. The algorithms for most of the tests are actually set up in a way that's a curve. If you've ever in school been graded on a curve, it is most unfair, illogical system known to humankind, as far as I'm concerned, because it means that one thing affects the other, so it doesn't allow everyone to be great and everyone to be healthy. It's a very strange system. Look it up, Google that. That's not, forget the curve. But that is how these systems are set up. They're set up actually for a particular age range. And as soon as you bump up against the other end of it, it automatically puts red flags up, regardless of your eating habits or whether you smoke and do drugs or not. They ask you maybe two questions. Maybe they ask you about smoking, and they ask maybe one other thing, but they don't go into details, or the history of your family. If other people have had pregnancies later or whatever it might be. There's so many factors to you having a healthy pregnancy. And I'm focused on you having a healthy versus all the problems that might come up. It's very important, of course, to be aware and keep your mind and heart open and feeling and being aware of what is coming up and trusting that, as far as, yes, any age, at any age, there can be issues. And there might be. And if you're pregnant now, it's because you're already invested in knowing, you're invested in that, and then you're going all in. If you're going towards pregnancy, then it's the same. If you're sure, then you're sure. Was every inch of my pregnancy perfect? No. Was every moment of my birth perfect? No. Yet it felt perfect for me. Even though if I looked at the scientific pieces along the way, it, one would say, oh my gosh, look at that. Definitely the birthing process, that's a story for another day, was not what I chose. However, I was so pleased with how it did go that it was fine. And ultimately, if your child comes out happy and healthy, you don't care, right? I mean, mostly. Just empower yourself if you're pregnant, or even if you're not pregnant yet. No, it really empower yourself to trust your intuition and your gut feeling and that of your partner. Please listen to your partner if you have one as well, because sometimes they also wake up to something, and encouraging them to listen there, because you don't have to take every test. You don't have to do everything along the way. You have to do the ones that feel right for you. And that is the piece that caused a lot of stress for me, for sure. I did a couple of tests, which I should never have done, but I was bullied into doing it, gently bullied, strongly bullied. And I use that word, which is a bit strong, because it felt that way. It was like, if you don't do this, then da 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 da, you're a bad parent, or something could happen, and that's so scary. And maybe it's worth it just to know. But I just want to encourage you, because my heart was always racing. I swear my blood pressure must have been through the roof every time I was waiting in that hallway of the doctor to have the next test. And inevitably, I honestly think that if I had lived on an island and just been able to have my pregnancy without any intervention or checkups, it would have been the most joyful time of my life. Overall, still very good, and a lot of creating and a lot of energy. And Britt, I also want to just check in. I hope that you have found the right prenatals for you. I highly recommend things like folate. There, I actually have a. Did I talk about all the details of it? I can't remember. There is one supplement video, and I'm going to do another one. Those will also really help heartburn or any other symptoms that you may have. I hardly had anything, and I know that there are a few reasons for that. One, I was determined to have a really great pregnancy, and two, I mean, who doesn't want a great pregnancy? But that was definitely a big piece. I did get some acupuncture. I did get regular massage. Those are things which are a little bit harder these days, maybe. But I think there are other self care things that you can do to. It's really about de stressing and coming back to yourself. So you're into meditation, or you could do a bath that's not too hot, but like a medium warm bath, and with some, could be lavender or lemongrass. Those things are okay during pregnancy. And light a candle, take some time for you. Just take as much time for you as possible, especially if you have a 21-year-old. You've been on your own, maybe, and uh, and this time is precious. So give to your soul as much as possible, and keep listening. And I'm going to sign off, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. If you have any last question about anything at all, please ask me before I sign off. Otherwise, I will be back here. I will be back here next Friday at 10, and trying to be aware of all the coasts and places where people live as much as possible. I know that Yana can't be here because she's sleeping now. She's in Australia, but I will occasionally do an evening one for that reason, just to connect in with you out in the outer realms. But for now, I'll take a pause. I will share this. This is this. I just love even the way it's drawn. You see in there the little boats, the little origami boats, and it says in Czech, I calmly swim against the current. This has multiple meanings for me, especially right now. And I wanted to share that with you also because you are swimming against the current of what people believe to have a fabulous pregnancy and path to your pregnancy and your life. And you have every right to that right now at any age, your age, because that's enough. So I'm going to end with a deep breath and an exhale. And I wish you an incredible weekend and week until I see you next time. I encourage you to keep listening to your soul, your belly, your intuition, and collecting in the things that you need, listening to your creative soul, and remembering the beacons of light like Britt today, who guide the way, like on a path, a dark path. Oh, I just got to chill. Like when you're on a dark path in nature and you flash a flashlight behind you so that the person behind you knows where they are and they don't trip along the path as much. That's my wish for you today. Somebody's doing something crazy loud outside right now. Take care. Bye bye.